go in from the left. Maybe you go up, left, down. We'll find out. I think. Oh god, this is gonna be close. Let's see if we can bomb left here. We cannot. Can Ice Blue find the right path? Ice Blue's coming from the other direction. This might be the right place. Shutter door opens. Ice Blue found it first.
Oh my goodness!
Ladies and gentlemen, what a turn of events. And your winner with an official SRL time.
Alright, and with that, I believe we are ready to get into our 37-man bracket stage of the 2018 Penforce Tournament. So, rightfully dubbed by none other than Mr. Jam Evil. So, thank you. As you all may know, I am Crimson Avix, and I am joined tonight by none other than the creator of the Randomizer himself, Mr. Fred Coughlin. How are you doing tonight?
Doing really good. I'm really excited to see all the madness we're going to get out of all this. So hopefully everyone here is looking forward to seeing all the pure evil that will ensue over the next few weeks here.
Yeah, Fred and I are privy to know, obviously, who's matched up against who, and yes, there is a lot of madness that will ensue. That is for sure. I will go a little bit over the seeding process because there was sort of a quotient for some of the final tie breaks that I want to let you guys know how we're doing it so you can understand the method, and then at a later date I will post exactly how the scores all lined up and everything so you can all review that. But first, just like we did during the last reveal, the schedule. Except that is incorrect. The bracket stages start tomorrow. So it's not January 15th. It's, you know, September. But anyway, our schedule. Right here, you have it all laid out. The winners finals and constellation semifinals are actually going to be held, or the deadline is actually the Saturday after, or the Sunday after Thanksgiving. If we can get it in before Thanksgiving and even get the constellation final and the grand final in before Thanksgiving, all the better. One thing to remember about the scheduling is you do not have to wait until the following week to schedule. You can schedule as soon as you know your opponent. The only thing is that the deadlines are hard set for this. If you do have any issues, please, please, please contact the admins right away so we can sort of work around it. Because of some things like round one only having 5 matches, there's definitely the ability for us to maybe modify it a little bit. So, yeah. If you, as I said, if you have any questions, definitely let us know. So, with that, why is it back in the schedule? Anyway, seeding process. Of course, the points are the number one point of the seeding. So the most points have the highest seeds. Number 2 is wins versus opponents with the same record. This is going to only pertain to the 4-1 and 3-2s because obviously the 5-0s don't have any wins versus opponents with the same record because they never lost. Number 3, the median buck holds. This is the total points of opponents with the top and bottom points removed. And then the Z-score. Now this is the one that's kind of confusing, so I'm going to walk you through my process step by step. So basically, the first thing I did is I took all the matchups, I believe 187 or something like that. It's a lot. And if there was a forfeit in the match, it was given a time for 3 hours. A margin of victory for each match was then calculated, the losing time minus the winning time. An average margin of victory was then calculated, which came out to, I believe, to be 49 minutes and 16 seconds, and that includes all the forfeits. So there's actually a lot more close races when we have, 3-hour forfeits with a 1 hour and 10-minute finish time, all averaging out to 49 minutes. And then that margin of victory was then applied, so all forfeits were then reassigned a time of your opponent's time plus the average margin of victory. And what I did then is I took all your times and averaged them together, and the lowest average times ranked higher. And as I said, this is all in a document. I'm going to put it on Google Sheets, and you will all be able to see the calculations of how each person performed and where you ended up and everything like that. I know it's kind of confusing, but I figured that's a way that we didn't really... that we sort of left it where the times weren't finite, but as well as still a little fair. So, anyway, that's not what you're concerned about. What you're concerned about is the brackets. And these brackets this year are going to be named, appropriately enough, after some of the various replacements for levels that we might see. So our first one is the sphere, and this would be sphere 1. So Fred, our first matchup, our 8th ranked player is RC Drone, and he will be matched up against OPT Lawyer.
Yeah, this matchup is going to be a fun one. These two have actually never even played each other throughout the entire history of SRL matches that have been out there. The two of them have never actually played each other. RC Drone has been around now for an incredibly long amount of time. Incredibly strong player. I remember playing him in the very first tournament that we did in, like, one of the first rounds that we were there in a double elimination format, and squeaking by him. Apparently he beat me into level 9 at the time, and he didn't have a high rank, and well, he just blew through everyone in the elimination bracket, and proved that he's a force to be reckoned with, and hasn't looked back since. Great Z1 time as well, and again, has been an incredibly strong player. OPT Lawyer has come around recently. He's been showing some really solid play to be able to get to this point in the bracket coming up, and it's going to potentially be a fun one. I mean, RC Drone probably is going to be a little bit of a favorite here, but especially with the flags we got, you never know what's going to happen here. So I think we're going to have a shot for a good fun race here to start out.
Yeah, OPT actually informed me the other day that he believes his first ever Z1 randomizer run of any sort was back in December. So, here we are barely 9 months later, and I mean, he's rocking it. So,
oh yeah.
And he's not the only one of our newcomers that we have in these brackets, so we will see a few new names going forward too, but definitely interesting one to start off. And speaking of interesting, Fred, you're our number 9 seed.
I was afraid we'd get to this one.
And we will be going up against Paratrooper 1.
I'm not sure if I'm exactly qualified to be, talking up the hype of either of these players, but, Paratroopa at least is an incredibly strong player who's been around, comes back a bit, especially for the tournaments. It's proven to be a really strong player. He and I have actually played 10 times. I currently do hold a edge on the head-to-head matchup, including in the fall 2017 tournament. He and I actually played in the playoffs. I did get the win in the playoffs there, but the matches were, I think that match was only about a 3-minute difference between us, and I think skill-wise that's actually a really strong matchup. I'm terrified beyond the capacity of rational thought at that one, and I think it's going to be a really solid matchup to play there.
Absolutely. One of the many matches that I was excited to see when this was generated. So, of course, we're going to run a traditional dungeon order route, so we're going to go to level 2 next, and level 2 is the temple. And here we have our 7th-seeded person, who is going to be Slitic, and they will be going against Tetrally.
This is gonna be another really fun matchup here. Slitic and Tetrally once again have not actually played each other at this point in any SRL matches, but both of them have been coming a very long way. Tetrally, for a while there was running some of the newbie bracket, newbie style flag races to get players to come in and get comfortable playing the races, and has come a very long way now, getting the 3 wins to get into the bracket here. Slitic is another incredibly strong player who's been around for a while, been around in some of the past tournaments. I remember seeing, Slitic's name way back in the day, saying, "Wait, what is this name?" When there were I tried to calculate some team rankings, and all of a sudden that one name popped up, and I was like, "Who is this?" at the time. And Slitic has just proven to be an incredibly solid player, very deserving of the 7th seed here, and this is going to be a very fun matchup to see going through.
Yeah. Tetra has actually improved leaps and bounds. I do remember when she first started out with Randomizer and everything, and where she is now. Like she went from someone who seemed a little uncomfortable with some of the flags, someone who's embraced them and who is really like interested in the Randomizer. So, as we said in these, I mean the seedings are the seedings, but they really mean nothing, because this could definitely go either way.
Oh, absolutely, and this is going to be a good matchup. Tetrally getting really strong, Slitic being incredibly strong to start, so I think this is going to be a fun one to see what happens here.
Speaking of fun matchups, our 10th ranked player is none other than Adirondack Rick, and he will be taking on Fury SK.
Yes, another battle of 2 of the awesome players here. We've actually got actually these people actually have played each other for a few times here. Rick and Fury have played each other actually a total of 24 times in SRL matches. Rick does hold a 16-8 head-to-head overall, but with the way these two have been playing lately, that really doesn't mean anything. I think this match could easily swing either way. I've seen Rick play for a very long time here. Fury, I've been seeing play more and more. So I've been watching more of the tournament. I've been getting exposed to a lot of the players who I maybe hadn't seen as much in the past, and both of these players, are incredibly solid. This is going to be another really fun match, and I think, looking forward to the possible permutations coming out of this, the temple here. We're going to have a lot of potential fun in terms of this round and the next round.
For sure. So, let's go on to our next dungeon, which is the Realm, which is interesting because I actually have not seen this one pop up yet, but it exists. So, our 6th seeded player is Captain Green 7, which, Fred, I know you and I both have a history with him, and will be matched up against Amazing Toaster. And
this is a really tough matchup. Either one of these racers, if you see them in an SRL race, they have a chance of winning against each other, or against anyone in the pack out there, basically. And that actually holds up in their head-to-head on SRL. They've raced a grand total of 10 times in SRL history. It's 5-5. These two pretty much are dead on even. You know, I've seen Toaster a lot from a lot of the nightly races, and again, you look over at like the 1 hour mark. Oh, there's a dot done. You know, Toaster comes in there, and then Captain Green I've been exposed to a lot more recently. You know, with the Battle Royale flags, seeing Captain Green making it really far in a number of the different tournaments just shows the breadth of knowledge that he has with regards to the various flags and permutations that can come up. So both of this is going to be a really strong match. You know, it's tough to even pick a winner out of that one, even if it's 6 against 27, quote unquote, in terms of the seeds. That's just a solid matchup right there.
Yeah, and let's not forget, that Amazing Toaster 27th rank means nothing, because just last tournament, Amazing Toaster was one of our top 3 players, so going into the brackets. So, as we said, it's the nature of randomizers. You will fall victim to sometimes just a little bit of bad luck, but, I mean, don't take anything for granted when you see someone's seed, because we could do away with them and you'd just see a great matchup.
Oh, completely agreed. I mean, you know, when it came down to this type of format, that's part of the reason we had a Swiss format for a number of rounds, because it allowed you to have, let's say, 1 or 2 bad wrong turns. I mean, if you look at the names that are in this, the top 37 here, the people who fought to get 3 wins to get into this round, you can't be surprised at any of them. I mean, yeah, maybe one of them had a second loss compared to someone who may have had 1 loss, but again, with some of the flags we were seeing, that can easily be explained with the way things are. But this entire crew is completely solid. It's going to be a great matches in general to watch.
Definitely. So the bottom half of the realm is going to be our 11th seeded Redbird Grad, because you know this isn't already a great part of the bracket, versus our 22nd seeded AMO 22. I mean, the realm is definitely bringing the heat, isn't it?
This one is stacked in terms of this, realm here. Head to head, again, if you're going to look at head to head numbers, yes, RBG has an advantage. They've played 8 times. RBG has had the 8 victories, but most of those victories, when I was looking at the times, were back a few months ago, I believe. Even that, Amo's play is incredibly strong. Watching the play in this tournament, RBG, of course, again, a master of this game, and it's hard to really come up with words that are different from what we've been saying with some of these other players. But both of these guys, this entire bracket is incredibly strong. And this realm here, I think the 3 matches you're going to see coming out of this one are going to be incredibly fierce to try to get someone to come out of this unscathed.
Absolutely. And all I can say to everyone is just wait. We're going to head over to our raft spot. And we got the lair. And this is where we're going to start seeing a few of these week 1 play-in races. There's going to be 5 total. This one is our 28 versus 37. And it is going to be Maligord versus Elendar.
And this is going to be another fun one here. Again, these two have not actually played each other at any point prior to the tournament here. At least not on any SRL races that have been done up to this point. I played Maligord, I believe, actually earlier in this tournament. Come along very solidly. I know Maligord from some of the other games playing as well too, but has proven to be an incredibly good player. Elendar here as well as a newer name. I hadn't really seen Elendar up to this point, but has been powering through with the first few rounds here of the Swiss, and this could be a really fun matchup here to see who's going to get through to face the mystery number 5 seed.
Well, that mystery number 5 seed just happens to be Chesterk.
Oh yeah, another incredibly strong name, someone definitely deserving of a really high seed, and someone who, you see his name in any SRL race, as like I was saying earlier about some of these other people, that's a name that you expect to be seeing done in a very early slot. So Chesterk's earned an incredibly good seed here, and is definitely a favorite so far in this bracket. I'm not saying what I've seen on the other half of the bracket, but it's Malgord and Elendar are going to have a really tough fight, and then they're going to have a really tough fight. They're not getting out of this without another tough fight to get through Chestrick if they want to make it on into the round after that.
Yeah, and speaking of tough fights, the progress after that won't be easy because you would have to face up against the winner of our 12 seed, X-Ice Blue, versus our 21 seed, Random Effect.
And as I was saying, a completely stacked type of bracket here. Ice Blue is someone who, hadn't seen do a ton of Zelda randomizer prior to this tournament. I've seen name around, picking up more recent runner. Hadn't been around some of the necessarily earlier ones, but Ice Blue has been really solid. Has the randomizer mindset, in terms of doing some of the other tournaments as well too. I think involved in some of the FFR and other types of tournaments. And you've got Random Effect who, has proven incredible skill at Z1, any version of the randomizer as well. And this matchup right here is going to be a killer matchup. And again, if you look at the SRL stats, which you can use that to try to draw whatever conclusion you want, the seeding's actually flipped because Random Effect holds a I believe 20-4 advantage in terms of past history. But with the way, as I said, X-Ice Blue has been playing nowadays, this is going to be a much closer to a 50-50 matchup, and it's going to be a really tough fight to get through. And then whichever one of them tries to limp out of the lair, they're going to have to fight off one of the three from the top there. And I think no matter what, it's going to be a bit of a blast there.
Absolutely. So we have our half of our brackets revealed. Now we get into the other half, which is just as entertaining, I definitely have to say. So we're going to go to level 5, the cave. So here we have our 29 versus 36 matchup, which will be Vignin versus Cantaloupe Me.
Oh yeah. This is going to be a fun one between two players who, again, haven't ever raced on SRL, but both have been doing a lot of different type of play here. Vignin is, one of the French contingent who has come into the tournaments here, has been playing this now for quite some time, and has become a very powerful, very strong player on the randomizer side of things. And it's clearly shown so by coming into this tournament, breaking through with those 3 wins, getting here into the bracket. It's going to be it's been proven to be very strong. And Kant here is incredibly strong, vanilla player, the second person ever to break the sub 29 minute mark on terms of the in terms of the vanilla game, and doesn't necessarily play randomizer itself much, but has proven the capability to be able to adapt on the fly, to be able to handle pretty much any kind of combat that gets thrown at him. So it's going to be an interesting battle here. You got 2 very distinct styles, and it's going to be a very interesting battle to see who can break through here.
Yeah, and whoever does win that matchup will get the privilege, as we'll call it, of facing our number 4 seed, Karakarn.
And this is going to be another solid Karakarn has been around the randomizer community here for quite some time. I was introduced to Karakarn originally from, I think, FFX speedrunning, so can handle a wide variety of games, has proven throughout all the different tournaments that we've done to be able to be capable to make deep runs into brackets in pretty much any of these tournament rounds. In terms of previous matchups here, Vignin and Karakarn have never actually played each other on SRL. Kant and Karakarn actually have played 3 times, I believe. Looking back at the stats, it was actually a few years back in probably close to the 1.0 versions of the randomizer, somewhere in the early days, those dark days. Karakarn holds a 2-1 lead over Kant on that side of things. So I think whoever happens to survive the slog is going to have a really tough fight against Karakarn, but easily could be an upset in the brewing here, if you want to call it that, in terms of escaping the top half of the cave.
Yeah, the thing is Karakarn, Vignin, and Cantaloupe are all extremely, extremely gifted runners. The problem is we still have the bottom half of this bracket to go, Fred.
Right, yeah, that whole thing.
Our 13 versus 20 matchup. Get ready for it. Saber versus Dragon Dark.
For those of you guys saying, hey, wait a second, I think I've seen this before, the answer is absolutely you have. These two have faced off 5 times head to head, and those of you who watch, these tournaments in the past, you've seen this matchup actually three separate games between these in different tournaments. The random percent tournament, these two faced off head to head in by the time that they faced each other, I believe it was either the quarter or semifinals, so it was actually best of 3 at that point. And they also faced each other in the fall 2017 tournament. It was pretty decently, like 2 or 3 rounds deep into that bracket as well. So, again, the two of them against each other is an incredibly tough matchup. I mean, those of you who don't know Saver pretty much is one of the gods of Randomizer in terms of his play. He brings an incredibly high level of play, incredibly good routing. The concept of quote unquote saver metrics originated with him. Dragon Dark can handle pretty much any game out there. Has an incredibly good grasp on things. We've seen him in this game. We've seen him in the FF4 randomizer tournament as well as the Free Enterprise League. We've seen him playing, a number of different NES games really well, always at an incredibly high level. So this is going to be a beautiful matchup to watch. And, again, as you were saying, pretty much this is a group of death in terms of whoever limps out of the first couple of rounds here, they have to play each other in the next round. So it's going to be a really entertaining cave to watch.
Absolutely. So, we're going to go deal with some Wizrobes now. We're going to level 6, the Temple. And we have our 30 versus 35 matchup. It's going to be Jake Hoper versus J-Lo.
This is going to be a very, very interesting matchup here. Jake Hoper and J-Lo are two players who have been playing Randomizer, literally since the beta phases. Like the very first time that I was releasing beta versions, literally to I think like 5 or 6 people at the time. Those two were two of those people who were playing each other. They have a very long history head to head. Both of them are been playing this for an incredibly long time. Both have the knowledge. It's going to come down, I think, a little bit to the skill. Jake Hoper has really solid Z1 times as well, vanilla as well as in the randomizer. So may have a slight edge here, but JLo as well is a very versed randomizer player. Has played this game, played FF1 randomizer, Zelda 3 randomizer. Both of these players, actually, Jake Hoper's also played all those Dragon Warrior as well. So they both understand randomizers. They understand how to think and how to act. And it's just going to be a matter of execution here. Both of them ending up in the 3-2 bracket and having to play the in the first round here. It's going to be a fun one to see.
For sure. And I know that whoever wins this will give us a great matchup against their eventual opponent, the number 3 seed, Antlers.
Oh yeah, and this is going to be a really interesting one. Antlers, one of the top players here coming through. Earning that number 3 seed here with a really solid run through the bracket phase here. With the Swiss phase. Has really ramped things up in the past year or so. Since we've seen Antlers starting to play. Overall, looking at some of the history there on SRL with potential opponents here for Antlers. Antlers has beaten J-Lo in the 4 rounds that they've played each other. Actually, interestingly enough, Jake Hoper is undefeated against Antlers in SRL play. So we definitely have some interesting potential matchups here after whoever comes out of that first round there to face Antlers. I could see some really interesting play in terms of that matchup. It'll be a really exciting one to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. And our other 2 seeds in this second temple, apparently, is going to be number 14, Panolf, versus number 19, Jam Evil. And Jam actually has the honor of having the lowest average time in the Swiss rounds.
That is kind of that is definitely a crazy stat to see. Jam, and what can I say about Jam? Jam has been an incredibly awesome player. He has played a large number of these randomizers, proven to have a really brilliant mind for this. I've played him in a number of these tournaments deep in. And, basically he's got the mindset where he doesn't even really need a tracker. He's able to do most of that stuff pretty much mentally. So the sheer knowledge that he has, the skill in terms of gameplay, it's the total package there. And you can definitely see the stat you were pointing out there about the average times with Jam. That's definitely something that you would see with him. Penulf there, coming through incredibly strongly here in the bracket phase, in the Swiss phase. He's been playing Randomizer for a long time, one of the leaders in terms of the French side of the game of, recruiting players there and keeping the French community going incredibly strong, playing it in some of the online marathons. Is incredibly strong play. Was even dealing with an injury recently and still came through to crush through the bracket and earn a 14 seed. So, great job for him. And this is going to be a really fun matchup to watch between Pan and Jam, and whoever winning that one coming through with the other side. This is another, I'm saying this about every bracket, but it's completely true. Incredibly strong variation here to be looking at.
Yeah. As we've seen throughout this whole thing, there's a ton of great matchups, and I know that our last two levels won't disappoint. So we're going to head to level 7, which only has one appropriate name, and that's the Asylum. And our 31 versus 34 matchup here is Truant Gamer versus Bobbing for Fries.
And this is going to be another really solid matchup here. Again, no SRL data to officially back this one up because these two have never played in terms of the SRL stats that I was able to accumulate. But both of these players getting their 3 wins to get through into this round. This has been, I've been watching both of their play, and it's been, growing considerably since the first few times that I saw them. And they both earned their way. I mean, no one was able to just get a skating free 3 wins into this. They both earned their way into the bracket phase here, and it's going to be another really fun matchup to watch. And whoever, of course, gets through this is going to have to face one of the undefeateds. So it's going to be a tough order for them either way. They're not going to be able to just stop after the first round and coast at any point here. They're going to have to stay on top of their game the rest of the way.
Absolutely, and just a note for Bobbing for Fries, because it was requested. Truant Gamer actually won't be able to see this until a little bit later, so just wait on the ping. But when the match does happen, and whoever does emerge victorious will get to take on our number 2 seed, Shaddy.
And this is going to be another incredibly fun one to see. Shaddy, fought incredibly hard, was able to get 5 wins in Swiss play, which is incredibly tough to do, and now is getting rewarded with the winner of this game, although rewarded being quote unquote because it's not really the case here. But if you look at this and say, hey, this might looks a little bit familiar as well. They actually played, I believe, in one of the early Swiss rounds of the fall 2017 tournament as well. Shaddy taking the win against Truant Gamer in that one. So if we see Truant come through, that would be actually a rematch of the fall 2017 tournament. I believe in one of the early phases there. I mean, not fall. Yeah, fall 2017. I'm right. I can't talk today. Shaddy does hold the edge on that match. He also holds the edge over Bobbing for Fries, although they've only played each other, I think, once in the history as far as the notes I was seeing there. But either way, this is going to be a really, really strong top half here. Shaddy probably would be the early favorite, just looking at things. Just again coming in with the 5-0 record, but as we were saying earlier, Toaster came into the was a 5-0 last tournament, and this time came in as a 3-2. So pretty much any of these players have the chance on any match to be able to take a win here.
For sure. And we do have the bottom of the Asylum. We have 5 crazy people. Well, actually, we have 37 crazy people, but that's beside the point. Our 15 versus 18 matchup is going to be Zarnax42 versus Sis Crusher.
And both of these players are another, again, batch of players who have been playing for a while here. Zarnax42 has been playing, since the very early days of the Randomizer. Has pretty darn solid vanilla times as well. I remember playing him, I think, in the very first Zelda Zelda vanilla tourney. at one point there, and our PBs at the time were reasonably comparable, but definitely has a love of the knowledge of the game, loves seeing some of the quirky variations that can be done, led a couple of the interesting battle royales that came through recently, that extra twist to the rules, like the Groundhog Day or the Routers Relish version. He was one of the guys who pushed that. Sis Crusher is someone who's come along in the last couple of tournaments here and hasn't played necessarily as long as Zarnax, but has been, the skill level there has ramped up fast in terms of, gameplay capability. Has come in and been really solid on all these tournaments. Came in here, has had a great run here in the Swiss phase. These two have actually played each other 18 times in SRL history, and it's 11-7 with Zarnax having the slight edge. But that just shows you that any given night, either one of these two can win, and they'll come through and have again, they're probably gonna have a hard fight with whoever comes out of the top there. But it's going to be some interesting play here in this bracket.
Yeah, absolutely, and we are sort of nearing the close because we are heading to level 8. And that is, of course, the board. Now,
I can't imagine why we chose that one.
Now, we do know that Adaginos is indeed our number 1 overall seed. The reason I say that is because the number 1 overall seed does not get a gift, because our 32 versus 33 matchup is BTs versus Matric.
And this is a matchup that is insanely good. This is going to be a really, really fun matchup to see any of the possible permutations that come through here. BT and Matric are both incredibly strong randomizer players. BT, has played this game, has been playing a ton of vanilla, trying to push the time down even better, but pretty much can pick up a randomizer game and blow through it, usually without a problem, is incredibly strong at the game. Matric is a master router, has played this game as well a ton, especially part of TBF, I believe, as part of doing a lot of the routing there, developing the routing there, playing the randomizer. As in the past, maybe had some tournaments when we did the seeding where he had a low seed to start and then shocked all of us and made a really strong push through. So, both of these players incredibly strong. BT versus Matric there's a 2-0 lead for BT in terms of heads-up matchups, but either way, either one of these players could win that matchup, and then going on to face 8gen, that's an incredibly tight matchup. 8gen and Matric have only played twice. 8gen had the win in both, but the matches were reasonably close. And then if you look at the history between 8gen and BT, they've played 50 times officially in terms of matchups against each other. It's 25-25.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, the possible matchups I think coming out of here are incredibly strong. And no matter what you're going to do, all of these possible permutations come out of the top half of this board here are going to be really, really powerful. That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, and of course our last matchup that we have to reveal, the final matchup of the board, is our 16 versus 17. Your Majesty versus Evgeny.
And this is going to be another fun one to keep an eye on. Majesty and Zebgedny have played each other a total of 12 times in SRL data. Zebgedny having an 8-4 edge over Majesty throughout their shared history. But both of these players have been around playing Randomizer for a very long time. Zebgedny has made some deep runs, has pulled off some crazy upsets, even in the past. In terms of some of the matchups that he's had. Majesty, again, another really solid player in terms of overall play. And so I think when you're going to see this matchup, this is going to be an incredibly strong matchup. And then whoever it is, absolutely, again, you'd probably call it a quote-unquote upset, whichever one of the three, if Majesty or Zeb beats whoever comes out of the top half just from, numbering of seeds, but it wouldn't be an upset. Any of these five can easily be the one to come out of the board here.
Yeah, so one other interesting note is with all the matchups that we have, I believe there's 21 total, and actually even going on to like the first round into the second round, with all the matchups, we absolutely do not have a single rematch of a Swiss match. So these are all new matchups, which is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's nuts to see a fact like that come up because, you know, the fact that all these numbers, in terms of generating this information was completely, done independently of whether or not anyone had played each other, and just it worked out nicely in terms of this. And, as you saw with me going through the stats here, there's only a few of these matchups that, there's a few of these matchups that have happened in the past in these tournaments, but for the most part, a lot of these matchups are completely fresh, and this is going to be an insanely awesome combination of matches to watch. I think every single one of these matchups has the potential to go either way, and it's going to be absolutely awesome to see here. We're going to get these out there so that way everyone will be able to, look at see the bracket further and be able to work on it. And this is just going to be a really fun set of matches to go through.
Absolutely. And Zarnak's actually reading my mind, because that was my next announcement, is the brackets actually will be loaded up onto Challenge. I will probably be doing that either tonight after this reveal, or very, very, well, not very early tomorrow, probably about midday tomorrow, so one of the two, but they will be put up on Challenge. I will link the Challenge link in Discord, so you guys will be able to go there, vote on them. You will only have until the first matchup actually happens to vote, so make sure you get your votes in as well. So, but yes, we will have a challenge. But in terms of scheduling your races and everything else, do it just like in the Swiss rounds. Use the form so we can get the proper restream, commentary, and tracking teams assigned.
Yeah, once it's loaded into Challenge, I'll be able to extract the data, push it into those restream forms. So that part, may take a little bit of time, but that capability should be there. If you're planning to try to schedule your matchup, don't be afraid to do the scheduling to wait for the forms. Once we get the forms in place, then we can, then you can then add the data in. But make sure you start getting your matchup scheduled. And again, even if you are not one of those first 5 matchups that are playing the round 1 matchups, absolutely talk to your opponent, try to start staying something scheduled. Just because that deadline's officially 2 weeks from now doesn't mean that it has to be there. And anyone who can get those matchups in early might be able to even push some of the rest of the tournament along a bit faster too. So again, we'd love to be able to see these matches start cropping up here, and see a lot more action going forward.
Absolutely. So with that, there's just a little bit more. I do this every year with the bracket reveal, but I feel it is just as important. So, yeah, our special thanks. Big thanks to Speed Gaming and Randomania for hosting all these. Our restream coordinator, Adirondack Rick, who has done a lot of hair pulling, because not only is he juggling a bunch of Z1R restreams, but everything on Speed Gaming. So big thank you. Our head commentary, Greenleaf Effect and Anaginos, head tracking Dark Falls, head restream OPT Lawyer and Maristra is coming back to join us for head restream for the brackets, and of course to all of our restreamers, commentators, and trackers. If you guys didn't do this, and if we didn't have our runners, then this tournament wouldn't happen, and I would be out of admin job along with the 4 others. So definitely thank you to all of you.
Absolutely. This could not be done without, all the coordination here of everything to get together, these restreams for everyone to be able to watch, getting all the races together, getting all the scheduling together. It's taken a full team to get through, and, everyone who's been out there helping in on this has been amazingly awesome. Everyone out there who's been watching these matches also has been incredibly awesome. It's been great to see everyone, supporting the runners no matter what, and just, having it's a great community to be a part of, and it's looking forward here to seeing even more of the madness. But again, thank you to everyone out there who's been helping to run all this and keep everything running so smoothly that, sometimes I feel like I don't even do enough for this stuff, and it's because everyone else is pitching in and pushing it along incredibly well.
Absolutely, and I do want to thank Fred, Jam, and Coper. the other admins that definitely do a lot, and the admin stuff is year round. I mean, no sooner do we finish one tournament than we're already discussing how we want to handle the next one and everything. So it's definitely a job, but it's rewarding. So thank you to everyone. Once again, good luck. We're all counting on you. We don't have many more matches to go, but it's going to be an exciting ride to the end. So I guess I just want to say thanks, Fred, for jumping on with me, bringing all the knowledge and information that I can't pull, because you're much better at the programming part of that to pull all that information. But thank you for joining me and giving some insight into these matches, because otherwise it would have just been me saying the same thing over and over. Great runners, great matchups. So
I feel like that's what I said on a lot of that too, but thank you so much for putting all this together. Thanks to Jam for the amazing hype video there, and thanks again to everyone else here. And let's see what else madness we're going to be coming up here in the near future.
Absolutely. So I guess what I'll say with that is see you all on the Discord, see you all on the races. Make sure, if you are interested in helping out in any way, restream, commentary, or tracking, reach out to the respective people that are the leads for those. We can still use a bunch of help, so we are always looking. And if you enjoyed enough, we can definitely give you roles to do it for other things, such as our battle royales that we do. So yeah, thank you all again, and I guess that will do it. So Rick, I'm sure you have a speed gaming channel you're going to send us to, but with that, once again, I and Crimson Avix, on behalf of all the other admins, staff, runners, and everyone else, thank you for stopping by, and see you all around.
Take care.